Hello, and welcome to Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I'm so glad you're here. Last week, a particularly nasty video went around on TikTok about these puffy headbands. It was a very young girl talking about how nobody over 20 should wear these puffy headbands. Now, I normally only wear this to wash my face. So today, as a statement, I am wearing my puffy face washing headband on camera with giant costume jewelry. As a reminder that you can wear whatever the hell you want, whenever you want it, at whatever age, and do not listen to those that tell you you can't. Yep, I am Petty Betty and looking a little bit crazy. It is what it is. Maybe one day, if you're lucky, you'll be as old as I am too. And if you're really, really lucky, you'll be wearing whatever you want. Ladies, men, and everyone in between, wear whatever makes your little heart happy. Can we have a moment for the earrings though, for real? Today I have for you a multifaceted story that is going to enrage you. This is a story first and foremost about the brutal murder of a teenager. But if you look just under the surface of that terrible story, you will see one that is almost as disturbing. Police corruption, income and white privilege, terrible parenting, and kids acting like spoiled little assholes. Oh, that just hit me. That's why I'm wearing the headband. This story is about kids acting terribly. I honestly just put it on because this is the last video I'm filming for the day, and after I take it off, my hair will be creased, but it goes perfectly with today's story. Now, I have some very reliable inside information on this story. I cannot tell you where it came from, so you'll just have to trust me. This is information that you won't hear most other places, but there is something very serious going on, not just in this town, but all over. This case highlights the problem. This is the story of the murder of Preston Lord and the Gilbert Goons. I'm your host, Stacy Lee. Let's begin. It's a Saturday night in Gilbert, Arizona, which is a town in the southeastern corner of Phoenix. A group of teenagers is wandering one of the upscale neighborhoods looking for a good time. They went to one party they describe as boring and full of Mormon kids that were drinking, but like pretty sober. That's a direct quote. The kids left that party and they knew of another house party. A flyer had been posted on Snapchat for a house party in Queen Creek that read, Halloween costume rager, open invite, alcohol provided, first come, first serve. People began showing up at the address of the house listed on the Snapchat flyer. There were kids in BMWs, lifted trucks, a Camaro. The girls were in costumes dressed as cowgirls and ballerinas, and the boys were dressed as soldiers and prisoners and mobsters. They were drinking blue raspberry lemonade Smirnoff vodka. Oh, that just gave me chills. They were smoking pot and playing beer pong. Queen Creek is just east of Gilbert. It's a very new town. Phoenix's population exploded in the 1990s and Gilbert grew. Part of the expansion is now Queen Creek, which was only incorporated in 2022. At this house party was 16-year-old Preston Lord, a slim sophomore in high school, known for his school spirit and for hyping up the basketball team, which was made up of some of his friends. Most of the people at the party were minors. There were a few girls over 18, and they made fun of the high school boys at the party, asking them if they were old enough to drink. Around 10 o'clock, Preston and his friends watched as one of their friends, he was a Latino boy, started filming two kids that were arguing. A kid named Treston Billey went up to the boy filming and said, "Hey, you need to delete that video." Treston was aggressive and the kids were getting drunk, so tensions began to rise. Preston and his friends, including the Latino boy whose name has been withheld, left the party and started walking down the street. The group of older boys that got into it with him about filming followed them. The teenagers commented that the guys following them looked like they might be football players. The older guys, the bigger guys, started taunting the younger boys, Preston's group, singing na 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 na, hey hey, goodbye, and they were actually skipping down the road behind the younger boys. Okay. The Latino boy who took the video of the argument was dressed as a cholo, wearing a wife beater and a saint pendant with a long fake gold chain. One of the older boys, following the group of younger boys, caught up with the younger group and snatched the chain off of the Latino boy's chest and threw it to his friends. Preston and his friends began to run. These older boys were much bigger than they were, and they knew there was going to be a fight. One of the younger boys jumped over a fence into a neighbor's yard. Another boy hid in a bush, but Preston wasn't fast enough. The other kids caught up to Preston and knocked him down. While Preston was on the ground, the older kids began kicking him over and over, standing right over him and beating him down. The beating lasted only seconds because the blows were so severe that Preston was knocked unconscious. A neighbor's surveillance camera caught the entire event. You can hear one of the older boys say, "He's out," and then you can see 10 boys running away, laughing. Oh boy, I gotta hold it together because we got a way to go. People back at the house party saw this attack. It wasn't very far from the house. Some of the kids from the party ran to Preston and pulled him off the street. They laid him down near the sidewalk and began attempting CPR. Preston let out a loud wheeze and then fell silent. There was blood coming from his nose and his face was bloodied as well. Then the police began receiving 911 calls.
911 emergency.
Hey, I'm at a party, and
what's going on? Take a deep breath.
There's a bunch of people out here with guns and shit, and they just jumped my friend, and he's knocked out on the ground.
Okay, are you
I don't even know where.
Okay, you're in Queen Creek, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The cop already came.
Okay, you said there was guns. Was anyone threatened with the gun?
No, nobody was threatened with the gun. I just know of people who had the gun.
Okay.
He's been out unconscious for like 2 minutes. We need people over here.
Okay, I'm getting them started, okay? Don't hang up. Just stay on the line with me.
Thank you so much. One of my friends broke his wrist. The other one's knocked out on the ground.
Okay.
I'm scared.
So there's one person that's unconscious and then another person with a broken wrist?
Yeah, so there's some lifeguards here, so they're helping him out, getting him in a safe position, so he's
Okay. All right, just stay on the line with me, okay? Okay, anywhere that they're bleeding,
pale.
just put pressure on them, okay? There is medics and police on the way, all right? Is there a gate needed to get into the neighborhood, do you know?
No, there's not.
No gate at all, okay.
No, they're doing CPR on him.
Okay, there's CPR in progress on someone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Are people on the way?
They're on the way, I promise.
I didn't get here fast. I did not want my friend to die.
That's okay. They're going lights and sirens as fast as they can, okay? So me asking questions isn't slowing them down.
My God, dude.
Are they still doing CPR on someone right now?
I think so.
Okay. So do we know if that person was breathing or not?
He was breathing, and then I came over here because there's a bunch of people there telling me not to call the cops, but it's the safest thing to do. I'm scared. My God, dude. I'm so dead. Okay, they're here.
They're here?
Yeah, they're here.
The ambulance and the police arrived. Preston was rushed to the hospital. He never regained consciousness. He died 2 days later of a traumatic brain injury. The coroner ruled his death a homicide. A video began to circulate among the kids in the area. This boy named Taylor Sherman took a disgusting video of Preston's body on the street and sent it to a group chat with the caption, "Slumped the f*** out, ha ha." It later comes out that on that same night, this kid, Talon Renner, told Taylor Sherman, "I might have hospitalized that kid. I hit him pretty hard." Other people at the party were discussing the attack on Preston in group chats. These are some of the things that were said in those messages, the actual messages. "Actually think that kid is actually dead. There was a blanket over him, I heard. Clay told me it's an investigation now. He's on life support right now. I feel kind of bad for the kid, not gonna lie. Talon hit him once and he was like dead. That kid is just a freshman and Talon is 17. Like that kid had his whole life ahead of him. Someone said, I'm just thankful I wasn't involved, even though I am. Another message said, any pictures or posts of me, delete them, please. Rumors began to spread like wildfire about Preston's death, first among the kids and then among the adults. Someone started using a Facebook account which used the name Lily Waterfield. It was a fake name. The page became a gathering place for all of those outraged about Preston's death. The admin on the Facebook account began tagging Wendy Meisner, whose son Jake is alleged to have participated in the beating. The writer posted, your son was involved in the murder of Preston Lord. Do what is best for the community. Turn in your son. Your son won't get away with this murder. The community is demanding justice. Wendy Meisner's response was to write back that her son was not involved, and then she threatened to sue the original poster. So that gives you a little bit of insight into the parents that we're talking about here. Anger grew in the community and then in the city of Phoenix. And the more parents looked into this horrific murder, the angrier they got. Because you see, people were aware that something was very, very wrong in the community of Queen Creek. And it has to do with a bunch of rich people and their spoiled brat kids. We're going to get into that. In December, the Arizona Republic posted an article talking not just about Preston's death, but about an alarming trend in that area. Upper-class teenagers wreaking havoc in Gilbert, Arizona. The reporter that wrote the story first published the group's name, what they call themselves on social media, the Gilbert Goons. High school students in Gilbert knew about the gang, and one kid later told the police, they're a group of kids just harassing Arizona. The police, they denied knowing anything about the crimes and violence that was occurring. A Gilbert police representative told the Arizona Republic, quote, we do not have documented incidents associated with that group name. Okay, so because you don't have the name the Gilbert Goons on an official report, I guess that means the group doesn't exist? Got it. The reporter dug further and found 7 detailed violent attacks by members of the group, many of which were caught on video. More videos began to surface, and the reporter started to connect the dots. The Gilbert Goons were made up of about 24 kids, mostly white and wealthy, who attended schools in the Gilbert area. It would later come out that there were 95 Gilbert Goon-related assaults stemming from 18 different incidents. What did the Gilbert chief of police have to say about this? The numbers are, quote, greatly exaggerated. He said, any teen violence case, they're lumping all together as a goon-related assault, and that's not accurate. The reporter disagrees. In one video, the boys are throwing wild punches at each other. In another video, a girl shoves another girl against a car and begins hitting her repeatedly. Most videos showed totally unprovoked attacks, a group of kids swarming someone, knocking them to the ground and kicking them over and over. All I have to say about that is the wrong people are getting their asses beat in these videos. The wrong ones. Now, this is where I'm going to stop for a second with a little bit of inside info. If you do not know the Phoenix and Scottsdale and Chandler areas very well, it is a real clear study in class differences. There's also very much a keeping up with the Joneses vibe in Chandler and Scottsdale, especially parts of Phoenix too. I happen to know that there are pending cases that have not been publicized at all against members of the Gilbert Goons. And when I say cases, I mean lots and lots of cases. These cases have not gone to the media yet. Hopefully they will soon. A week after Preston's death, the Queen Creek police did execute search warrants at 4 houses in a wealthy neighborhood called White Wing. It's a gated community with large McMansions on half-acre lots. People drive expensive SUVs and luxury sedans, and it starts to become all too apparent that people who live there in the area believe they are untouchable. Preston's death shocked other people in the area. One woman told a reporter, quote, I have received over 50 text messages from worried parents, furious parents, heartbroken parents asking what we can do, asking how can this happen here? I hate to break it to you, but it's been happening here for a long time. The police were treating all of the Gilbert Goons' activities and crimes as unrelated and isolated incidents, and this was making parents in the area even angrier. Lori Knightson, whose son was beaten unconscious in December of 2022, told a reporter, the cops know who these kids are. It's crazy. The law isn't doing anything. More parents came forward and said the cops were not taking the Gilbert Goons crimes seriously, and that part of it was the kids were from wealthy and well-known families, and the cops were looking the other way. Stephanie Jarnigan, whose son Connor was hit with brass knuckles, said officers told her that they were having a hard time investigating her son's attack because they couldn't find any witnesses. It was only because Connor tracked down screenshots of one of his assailants bragging about beating him that his case moved forward. So the cops could have very easily found those videos. They were not doing much about these cases. Connor's father told the Gilbert police in an email, quote, "It is well known that these guys go around jumping people, but no one wants to talk about it because they are scared." Stephanie Jarnigan said, "It's really hard for me to say because we are supportive of law enforcement, but I don't know how all these things have fallen through the cracks." All summer long, there were fights happening at In-N-Out Burger nonstop, and the cops never did anything about it. But now a kid dies, and everybody wants to do something about it. The police began to feel the community outrage, and they knew there was no way they could continue to ignore this problem or to cover it up. They also couldn't continue to look the other way. They held a press conference and made it official. They had a gang problem.
It is important to know that it is not a crime in and of itself to be a gang member. In order to charge a gang member with participating in or assisting a criminal street gang, the evidence must demonstrate that the criminal act was committed to promote or further the criminal objective of the criminal street gang. And with that, I will turn it back over to Chief Solberg.
Thank you, Major Benham. Through the collaborative effort by all the agencies you see here today, detectives have concluded that the group known as the Gilbert Goons has met the requirements to be documented as a criminal street gang as set forth in Arizona Revised Statute. We will go into the specifics of this statute in just a minute. We know this question has been top of mind for many, and we appreciate everyone's patience while this matter has been exhaustively investigated. The next question is whether or not evidence exists to submit charges for participating in or assisting a criminal street gang, in addition to the charges that each agency has already submitted related to their group teen violence investigations. The information on the screen outlines the criteria that must be met under Arizona state law. Each of these law enforcement agencies here today have reviewed their investigations involving identified members of this gang, and based on the information available at this time, there is not sufficient evidence to submit additional charges of participating in or assisting a criminal street gang.
For months, the investigation continued with no arrests. As you can imagine, this made area residents even angrier than they already were. This attack and murder was caught on camera. There were videos going around of these same kids beating other people. Why was it taking so long to arrest the killers? Crowds took to the streets several times, holding vigils for Preston Lord and marching along the streets, holding signs demanding justice for Preston. Every day on Facebook, there were more and more comments about a police cover-up, about how if these kids had been from immigrant families or low-income families, they'd have been arrested by now. And you know what? I don't disagree with that. We are all painfully aware of how differently wealthy people are treated in the justice system. Christmas came and went. So did the New Year, but things were happening. On November 2nd, 2023, police searched the home of Treston Billey. They confiscated clothing belonging to the boy, they took his cell phone, and they took a gold chain. On November 4th, police reports show that they discovered Talon Renner's mother kept him home from school after the fight in order to allow his hands to heal. She didn't want anyone to see that Talon's hands were injured from the fight. Becky Renner, Talon's mother, also stated, get this, that her son was being bullied for his involvement in the murder. Lord, baby Jesus, just when you think this cannot get any worse. On November 6th, the police searched the home of William Owen Hines. The police took his clothes, the clothes that Owen was wearing on the night of the murder, and they also took a DNA swab. Then the police went to the Renner home, and they found clothing, shoes, iPads, and laptops that were all seized. On November 13th, investigators got a search warrant for Talyn Vigil's house. I don't know if it's pronounced Talyn or Talon. It's spelled Taylyn, but it is very common in this part of the world to spell your kids' names in a weird way. I'm going to say Talyn. At Talyn's house, they took clothing, his cell phone, and other electronic devices. Talyn Vigil was also forced to give a DNA sample. Later in December of 2023, the police officially identified 6 suspects: Owen, Jacob, Talon Renner, Treston, Dominic, and Talyn Vigil. Taylor Sherman was listed as involved. People in the area knew the searches were taking place. Neighbors watched and texted each other. Rumors flew, but still there were no arrests. People were waiting, and then finally it happened. A grand jury hands down an indictment for 3 juveniles and 4 adults, all facing murder charges for the fatal beating of Preston Lord. Those charged were Treston Billey, 18, William Owen Hines, 18, Jacob Meisner, 17, Talon Renner, 17, Taylor Sherman, 19, Dominic Turner, 20, and Talyn Vigil, 17. I want to dispel a rumor. Arizona has a very large Mormon population. There have been a lot of rumors that the Gilbert Goons were Mormon, and the Mormon church was involved in protecting these kids, protecting their families. The rumors online were making it seem like the powerful Mormon church was trying to cover up these kids' bad deeds. It's not true. People online were getting 2 gangs mixed up. There was another gang in Phoenix in the 1990s called the Devil Dogs. Those gang members were mostly Mormon. It does not appear that the Gilbert Goons are mostly Mormon. I just want to say that for the sake of truth and transparency. There might have been some covering up going, but it had more to do with the wealthy parents and the cops. Talon Renner and Talyn Vigil are charged along with Jacob Meisner as adults, even though they were juveniles when the crime was committed. There is a law in Arizona that allows that for murder charges. Oh, Wendy Meisner threatening to sue the people on Facebook. Look, I'm sure what these parents have been through is awful. I don't doubt that for a moment. If someone told me that one of my kids might be involved in a murder, I ain't going on Facebook threatening to sue people. This goes back to this culture that I'm talking about. The other 4 were charged as juveniles. All were facing first-degree murder charges, second-degree murder charges, and kidnapping. Jacob Meisner, Dominic Turner, and Talon Renner were also charged with aggravated robbery. I do not know what they took. 2 of the attackers, Jacob Meisner and William Owen Hines, were arrested in January for different attacks, but now 7 were facing charges for Preston's murder. Then, 50-year-old Travis Renner, father of Talon Renner, was arrested on suspicion of drug possession and paraphernalia charges. He has also been accused of trying to cover up Talon Renner, his son's, involvement in Preston's murder. Employees of Travis Renner's at the media company he owns told police that Travis was planning to move his son Talon out of the country and even wanted to blame Talyn Vigil, saying that the cops had the 2 names mixed up. It was then announced that prosecutors would seek the death penalty against Treston Billey, William Owen Hines, and Dominic Turner. The community is somewhat relieved that the arrests were made, but then people begin to really focus in on Travis and Becky Renner. This couple owned several businesses in the area, including some Orange Theory franchises. For my foreign viewers, that's a workout franchise. They own smoothie shops and martial arts studios. Travis and Becky were athletes in college. Travis ran track at Kansas State, and Becky was a gymnast at Arizona State. One time, the couple took a trip to Uganda where they helped to fund the construction of a well to supply clean drinking water to a village. While they were there, they took a bunch of Orange Theory shirts and put them on the orphans, who were then asked to pose for photos. You know what time it is? Are you getting a feel for the vibe here? Very much Operation Underground Railroad, very much QAnon, very much performative. Look at what good people we are stuff going on here. People find out that Kyler Renner, one of the Renner's other sons, went to rehab while he was in high school, and then he spent time here at Diamond Ranch Academy, which is a residential treatment center and boarding school a few miles north of my house, where my oldest daughter worked for years. It's an expensive place. Becky Renner filed a restraining order against Travis in 2018, accusing him of physical abuse, and then she dropped it, and then I guess they got divorced. But the reason that I'm telling you this is because the Renners became kind of the face of this problem. Wealthy suburbanites who had troubled kids that they covered up for, bought new cars for, put them in expensive rehabs, and got them out of trouble instead of turning them over to the law. Other parents were not letting this go, and they demanded that the police continue to look into this wave of violent teenagers in the area.
We begin tonight with Gilbert police speaking out on a teen violence problem after the community raised concerns about the death of 16-year-old Preston Lord and other recent assaults in that area.
Tonight, police are asking for the public's help in identifying a pack of teens, they say, involved in a robbery near Williamsfield Road and Market Street. Fox 10's Lindsay Regas joins us live in that area tonight with more. Lindsay.
John and Christina, we are learning more about what happened on August 18th. Gilbert police releasing photos of those believed to be involved in the robbery. Over the past year, there has been an increase of assault incidents involving teens near Williamsfield Road and Market Street, according to Gilbert police.
It's honestly kind of crazy because we live in Gilbert, which is pretty known to be safe. I don't know why a bunch of kids are just out here like deciding to go crazy when, I mean, like, you just gotta let people live. Like, you can't just think it's fun to go out and just fight a random dude.
Low-resolution photos show a group of people involved in what appears to be a fight on August 18th. While police have not officially linked this incident to the so-called Gilbert Goons group, they did mention on their teen violence investigations webpage that they are actively reviewing assault cases involving youth to see if there is any additional information or correlation between incidents in both Gilbert and neighboring communities.
I just hear that it's a bunch of kids just like running around. They come to this in and out here. They run around and just do a bunch of things they're not supposed to be doing, obviously. Heard about the jump, obviously, and how they're just hurting a bunch of kids that are smaller than them.
Earlier this month, Gilbert Police Chief Michael Solberg wrote in a statement they were made aware of the Gilbert Goons group. Police initially said they did not have cases where the victims or suspects refer to the group. But today, police said recent updates from victims have referred to their alleged assailants as being associated with the group.
It's just not fair to families out here, and yeah, for those kids, like, they just need to learn a lesson.
In a letter to parents, Gilbert Public Schools asks parents to take time to talk with their children about the importance of their safety and being aware of the popular hangouts in the community.
On August 8th, 2024, the 7 suspects arrested for the murder of Preston Lord appeared in court for the first time. What was mainly discussed on that day was the overwhelming amount of evidence that must be exchanged between the parties in preparation for the trials. There are 6,000 pages of documents, 200 videos taken from social media and police body cam footage, and 400 witnesses that must be deposed. It is a massive case. Taylor Sherman, Treston Billey, and Talyn Vigil are out on bond. Talon Renner was being held on $1 million bond, but his lawyer wanted that reviewed. He had a hearing in September, and in October of 2024, Talon Renner was released on bond. Bond was also reduced for Dominic Turner and Jacob Meisner. I do not know if they have bonded out. So again, would we see this on another first-degree murder and kidnapping case? Would we see reduced bond? Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. All 7 suspects pled not guilty at their first appearance. As of now, the trial is set to begin on July 21st, 2025. You know I will bring you an update when it happens. Now, we talked about an assault with brass knuckles. A different member of the Gilbert Goons, Tyler Freeman, age 18, was arrested for 2 assaults, and he ended up pleading guilty. In November of 2024, Tyler was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for multiple assaults. Charged along with Tyler, William Owen Hines, and another kid named Jacob Pennington. In the wake of all of this violence, 3 moms banded together to do what they feel the police did not. Christine Brennan, Katie McPherson and Angela Rogers were honored as 3 of the 2024 Arizonians of the Year as exemplars of citizens who take a stand on difficult and dangerous challenges in their community. Angela and Christine were the ones who started the Facebook page called Lily Waterfield, the fake name used on that page that published demands for justice. They are still fighting because the violence hasn't stopped. After the March indictments for Preston's murder, a group of teenagers attacked a 16-year-old boy in front of his house, leaving him lying on the pavement. You would think these kids would have learned their lesson through Preston's murder, but they haven't. Suspects were identified. No charges were filed. As far as I can find, there have been no charges filed on this attack. And we know that the suspects are teenagers, and we know that there are videos. So it does not look to me like much has changed in Gilbert. In July, a group of boys used fireworks to attack a group of girls who were having a movie night in a barn located behind a Gilbert home. The fireworks set the barn on fire while the girls were inside. The girls managed to escape. The barn burned to the ground. Katie McPherson told AZ Central, "This will not go away. It's all hands on deck. This is a public health crisis. We have kids beating the shit out of each other, recording it. We have kids dying. We have kids burning down buildings." The more research I did on this story, the more other stories like it were popping up. And then I stumbled on an article by a psychologist who is talking about this generation. She calls it the anxiety generation. And I'm telling you guys, this is a massive problem. We're talking about Gilbert, Arizona today. The problem exists elsewhere. Send me stories if you have stories from your area. These are the kind of stories that don't get posted nationally or nationally publicized because they're about kids. And I'm going to stay on top of this one and bring you updates. All I know is that I am worried for this generation and the next. I worry because I have little granddaughters that I love more than anything else in this world, and I don't know what they will be facing in the future. What I do know is that we must demand more accountability from parents and from police. If parents will not do their jobs, then the police must. Today's story is a good example of what happens when neither parents nor the police take teen violence seriously, and it shouldn't take the death of a young boy to make the point. I want to send all the love from the Dark Hearts community to the family of Preston Lord. We are all so sorry for your loss and for the tragedy that you have experienced. Please know that we support you and hope you are healing from this loss. Preston will not be forgotten. Those that took his life will not be forgotten. And I will bring you an update when they are sent to prison, hopefully for a very, very long time. Thank you for joining me today on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Would you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to support me? It helps a lot. You know, I've got 2 podcasts. This one is called Dining with Death. This one is the current podcast, Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I post brand new episodes every Monday and every Wednesday. Both podcasts are on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. If you've got a few extra bucks you want to donate to a good cause, watch this short video on my channel. It will tell you everything our community is doing to donate money to police departments that have cold case DNA in storage that has never been tested. We are trying to help solve some cold crimes. I sure appreciate you watching and spending a little bit of your day with me. Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other. And I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.